Hi, I'm Rohit and welcome to Escape the Money Trap. Today I'm going to show you how to use the pension mapper and the asset map, two simple tools to help you track down all the assets that you already own and start planning your financial future. Now this is a really important step before we start buying assets. We need to know exactly where we are financially and where we need to get to before we start buying stuff like this No Tomorrow. Now I know it can feel confusing and overwhelming at first, and it definitely was for me, with different accounts and different pensions in different places. But don't worry, we'll go through it all step by step. Now what I'm going to do is show you how I use the tools to map out my assets. Now I've added some hypothetical assets that I don't own, like investment properties and premium bonds, just to show those of you who do own them how to put them in the map. There's links to the tools in the description below, and if you get stuck or have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll do my best to help. Now, let's get started. Okay, so here is the asset map on the right hand side. And before we start filling it in, let's just have a look at the sections it contains. So the first section is for all my assets. So that's going to be cash and savings, stocks and shares, defined contribution pensions, investment properties. Now investment properties doesn't include your main home. So don't include that, only include extra properties that you have used as rental properties, for example. And then other assets like premium bonds and anything else that you could put in there as an asset. Then there's a debt section, so credit card, personal loans, mortgages, again not the mortgage on your main home, only the mortgage on any investment properties. And if you've got more than one, just add up all the mortgages. Car loans and other debts. Then I've got a section for defined benefit pensions. So remember, defined benefit pensions are a promised income, not a pot of money. Then there's a trustee state pension, and they want the annual amount. And then there's a results section that we'll need to interpret at the end. So what I've done on here, and you can do this on a piece of paper, is just write down all the obvious things that you own. So I've got some cash savings, got some stocks and shares in an ISA, and I need to log in and see how much I've got in there. And then the red assets are things that I don't own, but I've just put them in there for illustrative purposes. So I've put a rental flat which has a value of 200k and a remaining mortgage of 150k, a car loan and some premium bonds. And then I've got a whole lot of pensions, which is a bit of a mess, and we're going to use the pension mapper to map those out and put them in the asset map. So actually with this sheet on the left, I can actually put quite a lot into the asset mapper. So I can put my cash in there. I can put the value of the rental property. I can put my premium bonds. And what the asset mapper does is just adds them all up to give me a total value of all my assets. Now debts, I don't have anything except for a car loan. Remember, we're not including the mortgage on your main home. We're only including mortgages on investment properties. And actually I do have that mortgage, which I forgot about. Okay, and that's all I can do from there. So next what we're going to do is use the pension mapper to investigate all the pensions that I have and put them into the asset map. Okay. To fill in the stocks and shares data in the asset map, I've logged into Interactive Investor, which is where I have my investments, and I've checked my stocks and shares ISA, and I can see the value there. And so that is going to go into the asset map. And we're done. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the pensions that I have, and for that we're going to use this other tool. It's very simple. It's the pension mapper. So what I've done is I've just filled in all the pensions that I'm aware of. So I've got a state pension there that is provided by the government. I've got a teacher's pension, which is provided by the teacher's pension scheme. And I've just stopped paying into that. And I've taken up a new work pension, which is with Aviva. And then I've also got my personal pension, which is in an interactive investor account. So now one thing we need to be aware of is the difference between defined benefit pensions and defined contribution pensions. A defined contribution pension is just a pot of money that's invested in assets, and you'll need to sell some of those assets to draw down an income when you are eligible to take the pension. A defined benefit pension is not a pot of money. That doesn't exist. But what it is, it's a promised income by the provider of that pension. So for example, the state pension is a defined benefit pension. So they haven't got a pot of money for me, but they've promised to pay me a certain amount when I reach age 68. And my teacher's pension scheme is similar. It's also a defined benefit pension. Now that's really important when we're putting it into the asset map. We don't want to put it in the wrong place because it counts as an income and not some assets. And this also kicks in when I'm 68. Now if you're not sure about where your pensions are or what kind they are, the top page of the pension mapper has some helpful advice. So the first thing to do is check your state pension by going to that web address and find out how much is in there. And then to find out any old work pensions, you can contact old employers and ask them who their pension was with. You can check past pay slips. You can check old pension statements that you might be receiving in the post and see who the provider is. And then when you found them, phone them up or email them and get a login to your pension. It's your money, so you have the right to have a look at it. And if you're not sure whether it's a defined benefit or a defined contribution pension, just ask them in an email or a phone call. Ask them, is this defined benefit or defined contribution? And they will tell you. So that is the way to start to do some detective work and find your old pensions and put them in the pension mapper. So next, we're going to go over to the government pension website. I'm going to check how much is in my government pension. Okay, so I've just got a screenshot here of the government check state pension website, and the URL is there. So once you click Start Now, you get taken to your Government Gateway login page, and you need the Government Gateway user ID and password. If you don't have one of those, you can always create one by clicking this link, or if you've forgotten your details, you can always get them sent to you. So once you've logged in, it shows you straight away your forecast, and it shows you the date that you can start drawing your state pension on, and that is when I will turn 68. And there's 3 numbers in here. You get a weekly figure, a monthly figure, and an annual figure. And we want the annual figure, so that's £12,014.12. So I'm going to put that in my pension mapper. And there we have it. My state pension is now in the pension mapper. Okay, next is the teacher's pension. So I go into my teacher's pension website, I log in, and I want something like a link to a benefit statement. Now, whether you've got a teacher's pension, an army pension, NHS, another civil service pension, they're all defined benefit schemes, so maybe the websites will be similar to this one. So once you click on benefit statement, you get taken down to here, and I can see there is my total annual pension amount. So that's the amount I will receive per year. Some of it I can take age 65, but most of it I can take age 68. So that's why I've put age 68 in there. And I can also fill in the amount. So that's going to be 13,776.23. Now those are both defined benefit schemes, so they're annual amounts that I'll get paid. Now remember, if you're not sure if a pension that you have is defined contribution or defined benefit, just phone the provider and ask them straight up, what is it? Defined benefit or defined contribution? And they'll tell you. Okay, so my teacher's pension is now in the pension mapper. And it's on to the next one, which will be my Aviva pension. Okay, so I've logged into my Aviva account, and I can see the number in there is £9,147. Now that is a defined contribution pension, so I'm going to put DC in there, and that will go in the assets section of the asset map. Okay, so we're nearly there, quicker than I thought it would be, and the last pension will be my personal pension, my SIPP. Okay, so I've logged back into Interactive Investor and I'm just checking the SIPP amount. That is my personal pension, 46,761. And again, that's a defined contribution pension. Okay, so those are all my pensions. I've hunted them all down and I've found out the amounts. Now remember, you can check old pay slips, you can contact old employers, you can check old pension statements, phone them up or contact them, ask them for a login or a statement, see what it's invested in and the amount, and put it into the pension mapper. So the next thing that I've got to do is put these values into the asset map. Okay, so now that I've mapped out all my pensions, it's time to put them in the asset map and see what we have. So the first thing is my state pension. That is defined benefit, and there's a section here for the state pension, so 12014.2. Now I'm going to put in the comments or in the notes, I'm going to put age 68. Okay, the next number is the teacher's pension. That's a defined benefit, so I can put that in the defined benefit pension section. Teacher's pension, age 68. And then I've got my current work pension with Aviva, so 9147.81. So I'm going to put 9147.81. Defined contribution goes in there, and then my SIPP is also a defined contribution. And there it is. Now I did forget to mention, but I'll mention it now. If you're a couple or a family and you've got multiple defined benefit pensions or multiple pensions, you can just add up all the values and put them in one cell. So if you've got loads of defined contribution pensions and they all add up to 100,000, you could just use one of these cells and put in the total. And the same with properties. If you've got more than one investment property, remember we're not putting in the value of our main home in here. Just add them all up and put the value in there. You can add up all the mortgages that you've got, put it in there, add up all the loans and put them in. So it's not just for one person, it could be for multiple people, and you can just combine all the values. Okay, so now the asset map is filled in. We're going to have a look at the blue results section at the bottom and just interpret what it's telling us. So the first number tells us what is the value of our assets, take away our debts, so our net worth. And in my case, it's 289,000 minus 155,000, which gives me a net worth of £134,586. The next number tells us what is 4% of that. Now, as we learned in the blog post 2.2, we can safely live off around 4% of our net worth without ever running out of money. Now, the main thing to do with this number is to compare it to your escape number that you calculated last week. So my escape number was the amount that I could live off, or I wanted to live off when I'm not working, would be £40,000 per year in today's money. And as you can see, if I stop working today, I'd only be able to live off £5,383 per year. So I'm well short of my escape number. Now, the next two numbers tell us what would happen if you were able to take your defined benefit pensions. So when I'm 68, my teacher's pension kicks in and it will bump up that yearly income from 5,300 to 19,159. And actually on the same age 68, my teacher's pension will also kick in and bump that up to 31,000. So that's not a bad income, but you've got to remember I can only take those when I'm age 68, and ideally I'd like to slow down and work a little bit less, much earlier than that, perhaps age 60. But if I was 60 today, I could only live off £5,383 per year safely. So what does that mean for me? Well, for me it means that I need to start buying some more assets in the first place. And I know I don't own an investment property, but I've got a large debt there on my mortgage. And if I paid that off, then that would realise a lot more of that £200,000 value. and I could live off 4% of 200,000 rather than 4% of only £50,000. So one thing is I've got to pay off my debts, and the second thing is I've got to start buying some more assets. So as you do this process, fill out the pension mapper, find all your pensions, put everything in the asset map, have a look at your blue results section, and you will see currently what 4% of your net worth is. You can then compare it to your escape number and see how close or how far away you are. And then you can also have a good idea of what any defined benefit pensions and what the state pension will give you age 68. Now this is a really important step. Don't skip this, because you need to have an idea of where you are today, and you need to have an idea of where you need to get to, and that is your escape number. So use the asset map to find out what 4% you can live off today, and then compare it to your desired escape number, i.e. what income would you like to live off without working, and then you'll be able to see the gap between where you are and where you need to be, and then we can figure out what we can start to do about it. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to get more updates and video tutorials on new tools, including the escape calculator, which is coming soon, where we'll actually put some numbers in and see where we could be. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll do my best to help. Thank you, and see you soon.